Remember, we shot that 2 ways, and we shot a really dramatic, kind of sick, violent. I remember doing a kind of kiss of death with you.
Yeah.
And then they made me do it, you know, with a kind of Freddie Catch line. But I remember that night, and how cold it was, and how Rennie let us do it both ways.
Yeah.
You know, Rennie Harlan. And then, you know, all of us, you know, and then they kind of go with a punchline because it gives the editors a kind of rhythm, a natural rhythm with the dialogue. But I remember seeing on the video assist with you sitting there, and it was like 3 in the morning, and we saw the really serious kill. You know, that I did, and here's what I'm going to tell you now. In this new film I have, Incubus, the kill that I did on Ken Sagos that was cut, and they used a little lighter. Well, they did this. I still kill him, but the joke is in it. I kind of borrowed the dramatic moment in this new film a little bit, because remember there was kind of like a hug and a kiss of death.
It was sad. It was very emotional because all I could think about was my last check.
You know what, remembering the death, remembering the kills is, I mean, on this Nightmare 3, it's really what I remember the most, because there were quite a few, so a lot of our time was spending nights watching, and I will never forget Jennifer's night. I mean, because each kill really took up almost a whole day, but not much more than that, but it was like the whole day's activity was Jennifer Rubin, Taryn, right, Taryn's gonna die today, and first the hair, that had to go. I mean, and I was not a punk rocker, and I was not hip at all. And so watching them do it, I was totally fascinated. Like, that's how they do mohawks, oh my gosh. And then she gets into this leather outfit that, oh my God, it was sublime. It was so hot. And then it comes time to, like it's 2 in the morning or something, Jennifer, you should talk about that, because you had to do a lot of takes of that death, as I remember.
She was fine.
She was fine. But the director like had this something he was looking for, but I just remember being very elusive.
Well, I do remember you being the center of the storm and the calm part of the storm, where the Wizard Master and Ken, we all found our true powers. So Heather, that was you.
Really, thank you.
I think what Heather's referring to, though, Jennifer, and I talk about this a little bit in my book, but Jennifer's junky track marks, they looked at the piece of film when they did all of Jennifer's effects. They looked at it upside down, or they flopped it somehow. So Jennifer went through this incredible matching makeup on her arms and everything. Am I right now?
Well, right, because, when we started with the arm to do the little mouth suckers, it was too small, so we ended up using the back of my leg, and then my head was actually supposed to explode, and we glued condoms onto my head, and to have them explode, and they didn't explode, and we had heads and bodies, and I don't really remember my stuff as much as I remember.
What was your line like? When you turn beautiful, you're like, I'm wicked and I'm bad.
Beautiful and bad.
Oh, I'm beautiful and bad. Yeah, that line.
I'm beautiful and bad.
I bet that was stuck in your throat a couple times, I remember. Why?
What?
I don't know. I remember like you kind of had a hard time saying that the first 2 or 3 takes. I don't know. I remember you like struggling with that line.
I struggled through the whole thing. I ever did any of it.
Jennifer, I remember coming in, and I come in earlier than anybody because of the Freddie makeup, and plus in that film I was always getting extra rigs, whether it was squibs or goat bladders.
You were in a dentist chair almost, having
But I remember coming in one morning at dawn, and you had been there all night with second unit, doing inserts and your stuff, and Jennifer had written on the makeup
in lipstick,
like graffiti. I can't take it anymore. Because they had to restart an entire makeup on you. Remember, because they put it on the wrong side or something. Or it was reversed.
I blocked that out. They did all it was a trauma time. They did all my special effects on one side of my body, and we walked to set, and it was completely the wrong side.
Yeah.
And we had spent, I don't know, like a crazy...
They held the film up wrong, and it just reversed it. But nothing would match on the camera. They had to start her all over again. And I remember leaving at like 6 o'clock at night, and Jennifer came in. I got out of my chair, and Jennifer came in. And I came back the next morning at like 5 a.m., and Jennifer was still working. And I went out and got, you know, some coffee and donuts. And when I finally got in the chair, there was this sad, scrawled lipstick message all over the mirror, you know, trailing off. And Jennifer had written, "Don't come back in here ever again. They'll hurt you." We never asked Ira about when he lost Risky Business to Tom Cruise.
No, it's kind of weird and funny that you should ask for it. But kind of like Ken, I lost the role to Cleavon Little in Blazing Saddles. Can't you see that? I just didn't say the line right. Anyway. So there are two roles that I lost. One was Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I got pretty close to Keanu's role. And the other one was...
You don't look like you smoked any pot in your life.
Weird. I was such a big actor. I was acting. Nature in this business, right?
Take it down.
And the other one was Say Anything, Lloyd Dobler. I wanted the whole stereo.
More questions?
Oh yeah, wait, real quick. I lost a really great part in Private Idaho, Gus Van Sant's film. That was
That's
You're
a
born for that one.
That
Dude, that must have hurt, dude.
Yeah.
God.
But the guy who got my part, I'm
Never
not
worked
happy
again.
about it. Yeah, he OD'd and died.
Oh. Well, there you go.
How about the guy in the pink coat with the glove?
Yes, my question is for Robert. I heard that on Nightmare 3, you actually wrote a draft.
I did, and some of it showed up in a later Nightmare film, actually. But you know, mine began with a college-age girl who was Amanda Wiss's older sister, and she was doing, and you guys aren't even going to know what I'm talking about now because we're so far advanced with technology, but she was looking at microfiche and doing the entire backstory on Freddy, Springwood, and Elm Street because she wanted to avenge Tina's murder. And she knew that something was hinky with that. And that's how it began. And we got even more richer backstory in the families and the parents. And then she became, you know, she would have sort of been like Heather was in Nightmare 3. She would have been a, you know, a college-age girl who was there to find the truth behind the murder of Tina in part 1. And that was basically how my script began. There was a couple of things that, you know, wound up in other Nightmare movies, but that's Hollywood, you know, you never know. I mean, people really do think of the same things at the same time, too. So it's, you have to realize that that's part of the process.
I kind of wonder why we, the alumni of Nightmare on Elm Street, are still here while the studios made a new Nightmare on Elm Street. And none of those people are here, nor has that picture had any great success.
That's right.